if I need to, this should be about 40 minutes. If I need to speed it up, just give me cues and
Yeah, okay. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. We're so glad to see you here. We want to welcome you to the first jointly sponsored program of VACCRA and our Cedarfield Resident Council. This is a program we all need to hear, and it's fortunate that when VACCRA started exploring this as a program and asking Senior Connections to help us find the appropriate speaker, we found out that Mike was just as interested in this as we, and that's when he started distributing all the information that he put into our boxes a few weeks ago. So we decided this was a good program that we could jointly sponsor and present. We're pleased to have as our speaker John Schwartz. He's a 1986 graduate of West Point. He served 9 years in the Army, then went to the FBI where he served 24 years. He lives in Haymarket. He has a daughter in this area whom we invited to come and see her dad in action, but she couldn't make it. John retired from the FBI and immediately started the Center for Combating Elder Financial Abuse, a nonprofit organization. He has made a presentation in Virginia Beach, and we're so pleased that he's with us today to make a presentation to us. Mike will handle the microphone later, and Barbara after the presentation, so get your questions ready. We have an expert here. We are so pleased to have John Schwartz. Please welcome him.
hey, thank you very much for having me here today. I'm really looking forward to the presentation, and we're going to jump right in. Let me hit one button here. All right, and we are ready to go. Center for Combating Elder Financial Abuse. Thank you very much for the introduction. I'm John Schwartz, president and founder of the center. Lesson 1, Introduction on Predators Who Conduct Elder Financial Abuse. For some of you individuals here, this may be the very first lesson you've ever had on elder financial abuse, and I want it to be a good and meaningful one for you. Important point, let's set this straight. We consider elder financial abuse to be a low probability, high impact crime. Few people are going to be affected by this. I say it's 1 in 100 crime. So few people are going to be affected by this, but the ones that are, it's absolutely catastrophic. And that's why we conducted training today. And let me adjust the microphone. Is that good? All right. Let's start off with our first video.
Turn to that quick-thinking grandmother who tricked a suspected scam artist. She secretly alerted the police who nabbed him on her doorstep. Janae Norman has the story for us this morning. Good morning, Janae.
Michael, good morning to you. Jean Edwards says she knew right away the call that she got was a scam, but she decided to play along for fun. Now, obviously, that can be dangerous, and it's not recommended by law enforcement, but it worked for Granny Jean. This morning, the New York grandmother who avoided being scammed by scamming the would-be would-be scammer. Last Thursday, 73-year-old Jean Edward received a call from a man posing as her grandson saying he'd been in a car accident and needed $8,000.
I hear somebody crying saying, "Oh my God, I'm in an accident." I thought it was my son-in-law, who's a real comedian. Then he says, "Grandma, I need your help."
But Granny Jean, knowing her granddaughter as her only grandchild old enough to drive, says she knew something was off.
So he says to me, "You can Venmo $8,000. And I said, "Well, I don't have a Venmo account."
So the retired 911 dispatcher from Long Island says she decided to play along with the would-be scammer.
The first thing I said is, "Oh my God, are you hurt? How did this happen?" I said, "Where are you?" He said, "I'm in New Jersey." "Oh, I played the game." And then I said to him, "Listen, don't call your mother. She's going to be mad. Let me handle this."
She alerted police who came to her home and waited for the suspect to arrive.
I actually said, was this such a good idea? But anyway, he's coming, so.
This doorbell camera recording as this man approaches her front door. She opens it, hands him an envelope stuffed with paper towels, not $8,000 cash. And as he walks away, police move in.
Maybe they'll realize that they can be scammed too, because I played the game really well right from the beginning. They believed me, hook, line, and sinker.
Law enforcement say these scams happen all the time, and unfortunately, the elderly, who are often targeted, often fall victim. Police say if you get a questionable call, don't listen to anyone claiming to be from the government or asking for money. And they also say to make sure to protect information you put online because it's incredibly easy to be targeted on the internet.
This world that we live on, social media, we post everything. Birthday parties, family information. We are educating the bad people, the bad guys that want to take advantage on the information. They'll find you, you'll have your name there, they'll call it, and they'll take a shot.
So 28-year-old Joshua Gomez is charged with third-degree attempted grand larceny, and police advise against victim ever trying to confront a suspect. And of course, you want to try to avoid becoming a victim, so they suggest not answering numbers from calls that you don't recognize, don't ever pay with gift cards or wire money, and of course, don't feel pressure. They say legitimate businesses give you time to make payments, and guys, police didn't say it explicitly, but it's safe to say don't mess with Granny Jean.
So Granny Jean, that's a grandparent scheme. We've heard about these schemes. Well, I want to show you that. That's our predator there. And he has no idea that he himself has actually walked into an ambush. He had no idea those two police officers were there. This predator only was trying to steal $8,000 and did a horrible job at it. I'm teaching the best predators as well as the worst predators out there. 1 second he was in control, second he was getting face planted by the police in the front yard. Joshua Gomez, age 28, and this only happened earlier this year. A predator that avoids detection is in control of his prey. That's what we're going to be talking about today. He did not understand that. He became the prey of his target, and his target was able to call the police, and they set up a great ambush. And that's exactly how it worked for him. A little bit of background on myself before we go any further. I hope that video started things off the right way, got your attention. A little bit of background on myself, just what we talked about earlier. 24 years experience with the FBI, just retired in January of 2021. Prior to that, served in the military as a field artillery officer for 9 years. Graduated a long time ago from West Point, and I've been researching our nation's efforts to combat elder financial abuse since 2012. A little bit about the center. Our mission: we lead the way in protecting the elderly and families from predators who commit elder financial abuse. And if you take a look at the bottom note, currently there's 54 million elders in the United States. That number is going to skyrocket up to 70 million in the next 7 years. So we have got to fight this crime now. So how do we do this? We study predators and learn their fundamental principles. We studied the most successful and least successful predators. Joshua Gomez is a horrible predator. He had no idea what he was doing. I'll show you predators that know exactly what they're doing. We're going to talk about 5. So this is how this class goes today. I'm going to show you 5 different predators. I've already showed the first one, Joshua Gomez. I'm going to show the next 4. In these 5 predators, they use 4 different attack vectors, and I'm going to show you what I think is the most effective and least effective. We demonstrate patterns by showing examples of predators. This is what we don't do. We do not offer solutions to detect every predator every time. I'm just providing an overview today in 40 minutes. This is your first class in elder financial abuse. It is a quick overview. And bottom line, you have got to trust your instincts. Granny Jean did. Granny Jean detected this was a grandparent scheme right away. So trust your instincts. There are no free lunches out there. A little bit more. Let's talk about predators really quick. What's the first step to prosecuting any predator? Well, we have to detect them. And you're going to find out that these predators are superb, they're professional, and they go without being detected until an unusually amount of money has been lost. And we're going to talk about that. But we teach predator patterns to help the elderly and families detect a predator before they attack. Now let's talk about this. We've all heard, see something, say something. Well, that does you no good if you don't know what you're looking for. That's what I hope to get across today. Mickey Rooney, everybody remembers Mickey Rooney. This is what he said before the Senate Aging Committee back in 2011. He was 90 years old when he said this. You can be in control of your life 1 minute, and then the next minute you have absolutely no control. Sometimes that happens quickly, and other times it happens very gradually. I will tell you this. I am basing all our work at the Center for Combating Elder Financial Abuse on that one quote. Mickey Rooney said the word control, and that's where I base all of my education programs on. These predators will gain control of you, and then they are able to steal your life savings. And I measure control on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest. If these predators are able to gain a control of 8, 9, or 10, they have control of you, and they can take your life savings. So I go back to Mickey Rooney. I thank him for being brave enough at age 90 to go up to the Senate Aging Committee and saying this. So let's apply Mickey Rooney's statement to what we just saw. There's the predator on the left. He thinks he's in control right now, and he doesn't see it coming, but he had no control. The police officers actually had the control as soon as he came up to the porch. So predator fundamentals. I'll take what Mickey Rooney says and I'll apply it to this famous photo that we've seen, Lee Harvey Oswald and Jack Ruby from 1963. I'll apply what Mickey Rooney said, and you can be in control of your life 1 minute, and next minute you have absolutely no control. What was the key to success here by Jack Ruby? He remained undetected. The 2 police officers on either side of Lee Harvey Oswald did not see the predator coming. So that gave Jack Ruby a split second to be in control. But was that split second enough? Absolutely. So as soon as I saw Mickey Rooney's quote, I applied this to this scenario here. And this picture is what I want you to remember after this presentation. These predators come from out of nowhere. We study homicidal predators, sexual predators, and apply them to financial predators, because a predator is a predator is a predator, and they all use the very same principles. All right, so let's go on with the 5 scenarios. We've already knocked one out. Second one I want to talk about today, this is William Neal Gallagher. 80 years old, was able to steal $23 million according to the New York Times. I'm going to show you to where he actually stole $32 million. And the date of this article is November of just last year. So this isn't even a year old yet. But he stole $23 $32 million. He operated in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Here's the Washington Post article on him, and my next slide will also be from the Washington Post. But a Christian talk show host promised to enrich clients. His Ponzi scheme built them out of millions. This predator hid in plain sight. So what did I say all the way back to Jack Ruby? The secret to success for any predator is to avoid detection. This guy's on Christian radio in Dallas-Fort Worth stealing $32 million. It doesn't make sense. We have got to detect these predators. They hide in plain sight. Here's a little bit more on the Washington Post article, but if you go down to the last paragraph, you'll see the $32 million, and that he also worked his way around churches preying on people believing that he was a Christian. That is an incredibly effective attack vector to use religion, and he used it very well. Well, let's meet Doc Gallagher before he was arrested.
Dr. Neil Gallagher is a premier true American, with integrity in all his pursuits. His key goal is to help others take responsibility for their financial future. His life's passion is to help people retire safe, early, and happy. Steeped in history, Dr. Neil Gallagher earned his PhD from Brown University. He received his financial license and began working as a broker with firms in New York and St. Louis. Shortly after this period, Dr. Gallagher determined that the financial world of selling stocks and bonds, mutual funds, CDs, and more was not effectively educating the public. As he puts it, I dumped big broker and developed my own company dedicated to educating, empowering, and encouraging people who are now his
I
clients.
strongly believe that as a society, we some time ago crossed a threshold at which a great number of individuals today give up on themselves too easily. We've raised a generation who not only looks to others to rescue them in virtually every matter concerning their lives, but one that also demands that others, whether parents, friends, employees, or the government, immediately solve their problems to their liking. Freedom requires education and empowerment, and I educate and empower clients. Less government, more personal responsibility, and with the help of God, a better world.
Dr. Gallagher developed his skills and acumen as a writer, publisher, speaker as a financial journalist, and as a former university professor. Now, with over 30 years of his visionary style, Dr. Gallagher has guided over 1,000 individuals in the development of their financial future with his company, the Gallagher Financial Group. He has been published in New American Magazine, Journal of Value Inquiry, Bottom Line Financial, Philosophy and Phenomenological Research, Charisma, Christian Life, and World Vision, along with numerous business articles by Dr. Gallagher. He was a Peace Corps medic and teacher. He has authored over 70 professional and popular articles, with 4 current books under his belt: The Money Doctor's Guide, Hunter, The 4 Secrets of Protecting Your Safe Money, Burning Passionate Prayers for Men on Fire, and Jesus Christ Money Master, in which all of his books offer a powerful array of financial understanding and influence. Dr. Gallagher is a seasoned radio broadcaster on his national talk radio show, as well as a guest speaker for many Fortune 500 corporations and small to large companies, and a key speaker at numerous special events. Dr. Gallagher says, after all well laid out plans, put financial decisions where they belong, in your hands.
Did somebody say, what's that number? But that's it. That's a predator that hid in plain sight and was able to steal $32 million. And oh, by the way, he was 70 years old, approximately 70 years old when he started it. He was 80 years old when he was sentenced. These predators are out there. They're difficult to detect, and do not underestimate them, because they will wipe out your life savings and they will not care one bit. They get a thrill out of it. That's their motivation. Hate to say it, that's not the worst one we found yet. Let's talk for a second on avoiding detection. 190 victims. How in the world does he have 190 victims? Like I said, we study homicidal predators, sexual predators, and related to financial predators. I'm going to show you a sexual predator. I'm getting ahead of myself. How was he able to steal from more than 190 victims? How wasn't he caught after the first 20 victims or the first 50 victims? That's what the center is going to try to educate entities of the criminal justice system on. We got to detect these predators way before 190 victims. The first 20 would be great, but this is financial devastation when they go into 190 victims. So I said that we study other predators. We're going to look at the Michigan State University sexual predator Larry Nassar. He had 332 victims. Seemed impossible. How could he have 332? And the answer is simply avoiding detection. There he is. From the Chicago Tribune. $500 million he cost the university, and 332 victims. There you go. My apologies. 332 victims. These predators all operate with the same playbook, and we're taking this a playbook and we're applying it to elder financial abuse. So let's pause for a moment. This training may seem basic and simple. Well, it is. If predators like Doc Gallagher and Larry Nassar can hide in plain sight, not be detected, and tally up a number of victims such as 192 and 332, the main point of this lesson is a predator that avoids detection is in control of his prey. And I take the word control all the way back to Mickey Rooney. So the main objective here, you have to be vigilant of these financial predators who want to steal your entire life savings. So let's go to the next scenario, Scott Cohen. This is the worst predator we found yet. Yahoo Finance reported this. If you look at the date, August 18th, 2022, Mastermind, a $300 million Ponzi scheme targeting veterans as well as elders. Now, this individual was only sentenced to 10 years. If you remember on Doc Gallagher, he only stole $32 million and he got 3 life sentences. This individual stole 10 times more than that. He only got 10 years. And here's the DOJ press release. Notice the date on it, August 18th, 2022. This is only a few weeks old. So let me ask you this. Has anybody heard of this Scott Cohen before? Because if not, you're hearing it from the Center for Combating Elder Financial Abuse first. Because this is what we do. We research these predators and we put this information about these predators out. But as you can see there, the second bold line, masterminded $300 million Ponzi scheme targeting retirees and military pension poachers. We cannot have another Scott Cohen in the United States. But here he is. That's a photo of him. That's what a predator looks like. I call him the Bernie Madoff of elder financial abuse because I think that's exactly what he is. And I hope the center does not find another predator that eclipses what he was able to steal. So again, why do we offer this training? Why is this your first class in elder financial abuse? Because it's absolutely necessary. Doc Gallagher stole $32 million and Scott Cohen stole $300 million. Few people have ever heard of these individuals, but they absolutely should hear about these individuals. I said that we study the worst and the best. Well, there they are. There's Joshua Gomez. This guy can't even steal $8,000. And you heard about him on Good Morning America. But Scott Cohen, who can steal $300 million, didn't get any press. So that's what we're going to try to increase too. But there they are. Also, let's talk about age. Scott Cohen was 68 years old. Gomez was 28. In the game of elder financial abuse, experience and age matters. All right, so we've covered 3. We have 2 more predators. The amount stolen by these predators, it doesn't come close to what Scott Cohen did, but these are very upsetting stories nonetheless. Our next predator is Jonathan Robbins. He's an attorney and CPA, stole $1.8 million from an 88-year-old widow. He hid in plain sight too. And I'll go right back to my mantra here. A predator that avoids detection is in control of his prey. And we saw that with Jack Ruby and Lee Harvey Oswald. But that's it. That's a picture of the predator as well as the victim, Helen Nutt. Let's take a look at the video.
Helen Nutt worked hard and saved her money. The widow, who had worked as a church secretary, built a substantial nest egg.
Well, she died at 91, but she invested well and she saved. She made her money the old-fashioned way. She worked and saved.
But prosecutors say she was swindled out of her hard-earned money by this man, Jonathan Robbins, an attorney and CPA. They say she asked him for help in setting up trust and estate documents.
But he ultimately put himself in control of everything, with no oversight, no second eyes, no third eyes, nobody else. There was no check, no balance.
Prosecutors say a Montgomery County jury found Robbins guilty on several financial crimes charges. They say he took $1.8 million over the course of several years. An oversight agency and financial institutions noticed something was wrong and blew the whistle.
Wrote checks to himself, endorsed the checks himself, and then deposited them in his own account. Sometimes it was in smaller amounts, 20, 30,000. I think the largest check was somewhere around $300,000.
Prosecutors say Nutt died at the age of 91 before the trial happened. They presented some 300 exhibits, including photos showing the modest home Robbins lived in before he met Nutt, then the 6,600 square foot home he moved into.
He was surviving, living in a townhouse. Well, when this trial took place, and you're going to see pictures of it, he moved into a mansion on Miss Nutt's dime. And he was living a high life.
Prosecutors described Nutt as the perfect victim. She was trusting, had lots of money, had no family close by to watch out for her, and suffered from dementia. After he was convicted, the judge revoked his bond. He's in jail now awaiting his September sentencing. He faces up to 45 years in prison. In Rockville, Darcy Spencer, News 4.
Just awful. We reached out to the public defender who said, I need to speak to Mr. Robbins before commenting and won't be able to do so until next week. Prosecutors say the lesson here, don't put your trust in one person to handle your financial affairs. And of course, check on your older loved ones to make sure everything is okay.
And here he is now. Arrested. That's him prior. That's his website. But he hid in plain sight, just like the others. And I call this attack vector trusted professional. But he was out there, and he did a very, very good target analysis with Miss Nutt. They listed dementia, lived alone, didn't have family close by, and he initiated his financial attack, and he was very successful with it. I want to make a point here. Jonathan Robbins was sentenced in just November last year to 12 years. That's 2 more years than Scott Cohen, who stole $300 million. I just want to bring that out. We've got to do better with prosecuting. Let me apologize really quickly for this coming up, as well as I was not able to put the slide presentation on full slide view, so that's why you see the notes to the top, but I think this is more effective this way. All right, so Jonathan Robbins, trusted professional. The last predator I'm going to show you is April Park. She's a fraudulent guardian who was arrested and convicted in Nevada. And they came up with a Netflix movie with her earlier this year. The name of the movie is I Care a Lot. And it's a very good movie, but I will say this, the first 26 minutes of the movie does an excellent job of portraying how this predator can come into your life with no warning and take total control of you. Also, I'm going to show a video, and the reporter introducing the video does a very good job, says his entire life savings depleted. And then the first victim that they show says she is a predator of the worst type. And that's exactly what I've been saying all along in this presentation. I call them predators. I don't call them scammers. I don't call them fraudsters. I call them predators because that's exactly what they are. And then the other point I want to make on this, and I'm going to actually show you two videos. What I like about these videos, you're going to hear from victims. You're also going to hear from Miss Parks before she was arrested, when a local TV station who caught wind of her interviewed her before she was convicted, and then you'll hear her in her sentencing after she's convicted. So you get to see and hear the predator. And then finally, the second video is going to be of the victim as well as their daughter. So let's take a look. Here she is, April Parks, sentenced back in 2019.
It is considered one of the most serious cases of elder exploitation in Nevada history. It is a case that 13 Investigations has been following now for years. And 13 Action News reporter Tom George was there as the defendants heard their fate, as well as the emotional reaction from their victims. Isolation, theft, entire life savings depleted. Abuse is so horrific, it's gained national attention, making Southern Nevada one of the worst examples in the country of how seniors can be treated. Our investigations are driving changes in the guardianship law, and today, a judge echoed that in a hefty sentence.
April Parks is the president of the West County.
One after another.
I still have nightmares about what happened. I endured more than 3 weeks.
Victims and families destroyed by April Parks sharing their stories.
Everything had been taken away. I was stripped of everything.
Just a few of the hundreds of cases where Parks and her associates were court-appointed as guardians, like Rennie and Rudy North, forced into assisted living as Parks drained their bank accounts, isolating them from their daughter Julie.
I couldn't wrap my mind around the evilness of her soul. I've never experienced such a cold-hearted person in my life.
Rennie now has cancer and was too sick for court today, but Rudy was there, saying he's lucky he made it out alive when he says many others died under Parks' watch before this day came.
I once questioned her, the defendant, about how she felt about these deaths that she's accelerated. And you know what her answer was? You're born with an expiration date.
The most shocking revelation, multiple urns found in a storage locker containing the ashes of some former clients. Parks defending herself, saying through it all, her heart was in the right place.
Things could have been done better and differently, but at no time was anything done with an intent to harm. I truly had a passion for guardianship. I truly cared about these people, as did my staff.
But the judge didn't buy it and had a brutally honest message for Parks before doling out her sentence.
I cannot fathom how you think that the actions that occurred at the hands of you did not intend to bring any harm to anyone. These people that have scotch taped their shoes together, these people that are being charged for getting Christmas gifts, these people that don't have food to eat, how is that not bringing harm to them?
In the end, Parks received the maximum of 16 to 40 years, something victims' families say sends an important message, but they feel more work needs to be done to reform the court-appointed guardian system that's supposed to help protect the vulnerable.
We're not living back in the dark ages. There's no reason somebody should be kidnapped out of their home. So why would that be acceptable in a courtroom? So there needs to be newer laws.
But today, they say this is a step in the right direction.
This is such a long journey, and going through this, we're all scarred, but it's encouraging. Let's just say that. It's encouraging.
Now, Parks' business partner Mark Simmons and husband Gary Taylor both received maximum sentences for their roles in the scheme. Now, we didn't reach out to their attorneys for comment, but they either declined or didn't respond. Tom George, 13 Action News. It is considered one of the most serious cases.
I call this probably one of the most disturbing predators that I've run across. That she was able to take individuals out of their home with a court order and then put them in assisted living and then sell off all their life belongings. Next video we're going to roll into is Rudy North. That you saw him earlier in this video. We'll go a little bit further into Rudy's insight on this.
The story you're about to see will make you sad. It will make you feel scared and helpless, and it could happen to anyone. It is a family tragedy where an elderly couple is yanked from their home, their daughter is left in the dark, and the person put in charge by Clark County admits to serious mistakes uncovered by Contact 13 Chief Investigator Darcy Spears.
It can happen in the blink of an eye.
I could not be less happy.
Life as you know it changed forever.
Did you feel like you and your wife were kidnapped out of your own home?
We were kidnapped and raped. Both.
Maybe not literally, but Rudy and Rennie North feel like they were violated, stripped of the life they were living together for 60 years. He cared for her through cancer and claims they were doing just fine until a knock on their door in the fall of 2013.
So I opened the door and they said that they were officers of the court.
Rudy says the officers gave the couple 3 options.
1, we call the police. 2, we have you go to a psychiatric ward.
Choice 3, an assisted living facility. The people who came for Rudy and Rennie were private professional guardian April Parks and a member of her staff.
Mr. and Mrs. North were not in a good situation when we initially got the guardianship. There were lots of concerns about what was going on with them health-wise.
Parks says a hospice company referred the couple to her out of concern that they could no longer care for themselves.
Were they allowed to give them the choice to stay in their home?
At that time, they were not.
And they've never been allowed to go back home. Parks says threats of police and jail never came up, but
psychiatric ward probably came up.
Frightened and worried about being separated, the couple went with Parks to Lakeview Terrace Senior Home. Their only daughter, Julie, had no idea they'd been taken.
Who believes they're going to get taken out of their home?
Julie eventually tracked them down. She took this video in January 2014.
Oh, I felt like I was being arrested. I was kidnapped out of my house. I was being fully dressed.
Court records show Rudy and Rennie were deemed incompetent by a pain management specialist and a physician's assistant. April Parks used those evaluations to gain temporary guardianship, which the court has since made permanent.
In the court record, Parks also calls their only daughter, Julie, a reported drug addict who has no contact with her parents. Both say that's a lie, and there's no evidence to back it up.
They defame your family. They do that in case after case after case.
In the North's case, we discovered mistakes, overbilling, and double dipping.
Should it take Contact 13 to be the one that's finding this stuff and asking these questions?
No, ma'am, it shouldn't.
That's scary when you're in charge of someone else's life and money.
Yes,
this shouldn't be happening.
I agree with you.
Shockingly, Parks sold a bunch of Rudy and Rennie's belongings through an estate sale company who made $4,150, but she only got $923, which went into the North's account. Court records show Parks said it wasn't worth the legal effort to pursue the other $3,200.
But why would that ever be the deterrent?
Well,
this is someone else's money.
You're right.
She says they're going to pursue it now. Contact 13 also uncovered double dipping. Rudy and Rennie were charged $780 each for court filings and travel time to court on the same days in 2013.
That's over $1,500.
You're absolutely
to
right.
This couple.
You're absolutely right.
Who you're saying doesn't have enough money already.
We will happily reverse those charges out.
How about $108 Parks charged Rennie to buy her a pair of stretch pants?
Does $108 for stretch pants?
No, it doesn't, and I'm happy to reverse that.
So far, Parks and her lawyer have charged the couple more than $25,000 in fees, plus almost $50,000 has been spent for the couple's room and board and medical expenses. Park says this is the
That's probably two of the most disturbing videos that I've come across yet. I like that video. I like to show it because it shows the predator before she was convicted and then after. But that's what these predators look like. And again, you can take what you just saw here, and you can also look at the video I showed you of Doc Gallagher on his advertisement video. This is what these predators truly look like. But that's it. Those are the 5 scenarios that I wanted to show you today. 4 different attack vectors that these predators use. Again, this is just an overview, an introductory course as to Predator 101 as it applies to elder financial abuse. So, okay, elder financial abuse is a problem in the United States. So, what can be done to protect our elderly and vulnerable elders? These are my 3 suggestions that I have, and we'll go into these a little bit more detail. Elderly and family members should conduct an assessment of the vulnerability of the elder. Secondly, early detection of the predator. What are the warning signs of these possible attack vectors? And then finally, extract the elder from a predator if the attack has occurred and the predator has gained control. So let's take a look at these really quick. So conduct an assessment. First, I'll tell you that's absolutely has to be done because that's exactly what each of these 5 predators do. They conduct an assessment on vulnerability, and we have to do that. So what I suggest to all of you and your family as well, conduct that assessment. See where your weaknesses are. Once you identify your weaknesses, now you can harden the target. I had one individual approach me and said, well, my mother keeps getting these telephone calls again and again and again. That's an attack vector, and these predators that use this as an attack vector are superb on it. I suggested, well, what would it look like for your mother if you simply changed your telephone number? She said, I never thought of that. That's a great idea. It came back to me and said, yeah, that worked out well. So that's just one idea, one out of many. And then visit the elderly as often as they can as they continue to age. They said Miss Nutt was 88 years old and family did not live close by. The predator, Jonathan Robbins, did an accurate assessment on that and realized he could isolate and control her. Again, these are just suggestions. Second one, early detection of the predator. What are the warning signs of possible attack vectors? Well, we saw 4 attack vectors today. Also, what about grandparent schemes or sweepstakes schemes or romance schemes or computer repair schemes? Let me tell you about a computer repair scheme. You could be on your computer and then the predator is actually going to come on voice and say that they're from Microsoft, that they've identified certain threats pinging on your laptop right now. Do you want to help? Do you want help? And the most vulnerable will say, yes, I do. And then that voice will say, I need you to pull out your driver's license and put it in front of your laptop right where the camera is. And once they do that, the predator has them because now they have the essential information to steal their identity. But there's so many different attack vectors. Again, this is just an overview. And then finally, trusted professionals hiding in plain sight. What I've showed you today, Gallagher, Cohen, Robbins, and Parks, they all hid in plain sight, yet they went undetected. And then finally, extract the elderly from a predator attack that's occurred and the predator has gained control. Take, for instance, a predator who has, or a victim who has $500,000, and the predator has already stolen $100,000. Well, if you can identify that predator and extract the victim out of that situation and keep the other $400,000, that is a huge victory. So watch out for each other. Watch out for your siblings. Watch out for other individuals that you think may be in a vulnerable situation. But summary, it all goes back to detection and control. Again, I give it all the credit to Mr. Rooney. when he said you can be in control of your life 1 minute, and next minute you have absolutely no control. I think what I've showed here today is that that's absolutely correct. This is my website, and I can take a second if you want to take a photograph of this screen right now so that you have this our website address, or I can put it up after the presentation. But this is what we've created, and it has free training aids on it. This is what the website looks like. What I'll direct your attention to is the education tab. So we'll go take a picture of the education tab next. And then you'll see the different categories. So underneath the education section, you see profiles of convicted predators, and underneath that, Ponzi and investment schemes. And here are the individuals that we highlight. So we give a profile on them, and you see Doc Gallagher there. So this is a training asset for each and every one of you. This is a training asset for 54 million elders in the United States. That's why we've developed this. So we're conducting a training session now, but continue this training session at your own time by going onto this website and taking a look. So, congratulations, you've completed your first training on elder financial abuse. Not only that, you've taken a proactive step in protecting your life savings from financial predators. We are the Center for Combating Elder Financial Abuse. We're based out of Haymarket, Virginia. We are a nonprofit association. If there's anybody that'd like to go to our website and make a small donation, if you feel that what we're teaching and trying to accomplish is worthwhile. But thank you very much, everybody. You've been a great audience, and it's been a great pleasure to be here. Thank you. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay, Barbara and Mike have the microphones. We're ready for questions. John will answer your questions. Anybody have some?
Just want to know the website again, www.
Yeah, I'll go back to it. It's NDFA, End Elder Financial Abuse. So NDFA.org. And feel free to pull it up now and take a look. If you have any questions on it, I can answer them.
Got a question right here.
It's actually not a question, it's a comment. What you didn't mention was the email that I got yesterday from my minister that was asking for a favor. And right after I got that email, I got another email from the church itself that said, this is a scam. And what it was going to do was ask for gift cards to be sent. And that's the most common that people like us get. In addition to the ones on the computer where they ask you to make a correction and it's going to cost some money to do that.
Okay, thank you.
And my issue with that was there is nobody that wants to help people if they are scammed with those conditions.
Well, thank you very much for that insight. Yeah, that's exactly right. Emails is a great attack vector. And I'm glad your church caught that right away. But these predators that conduct these email scams, we have no idea where they are on the face of the earth, right? So they're the most difficult ones. But I talk about control. So if I can provide education and educate more people on the dangers of these emails as well as these phone calls, to eliminate that predator gaining control of you, simply delete the email. But it sounds as if when you got that, you trusted your gut instinct. And that's superb. That's fantastic. If this predator had gained a control level on you of 8, 9, or 10, they would have kept writing email after email after email. But that's a very common attack vector, so thank you.
What is the government doing, or is there anything that can be done from a federal standpoint to stop or eliminate or help find these guys?
Yeah, in 2017, a law came out, and I want to say it's Elder Abuse Protection and Prosecution Act, and that came out in November of 2017. So that law has been passed, but I'll also tell you that some of these cases that I showed you today, no one's ever heard of them. Scott Cohen, $300 million. What other financial crime in the United States can somebody steal $300 million and the general public doesn't hear about it? So there's a lot more that can be done. There's some things that are being done, but I think there's a lot more can be done. Especially right now, we have 54 million elders. We're going up to 70 million elders in a blink of an eye, 7 years. So we have to be aggressive.
It seems that there's a new scheme every day. But, I mean, for example, the other day, I had a problem with Amazon, and I didn't have the number for Amazon right away. And so I quickly just Googled Amazon, and I picked the first number on the Google list. And I'm going through a crazy thing with person and realize it's a scam. Somebody's doing that. Do you have some kind of information sheets that list a lot of these potential scams? I think that would be helpful to people.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I agree with you. That would be very helpful. Our nonprofit is only 20 months old. We're brand new. We just stood it up. We're going to develop those type of mechanisms that you need so that we can list and highlight and educate on all of these predator attack vectors. But they are. Do not underestimate these predators. They're highly skilled, they're professional, and yes, we're way behind on a number of attack vectors that they're throwing at us.
Got a question over here?
Okay.
I don't have a question, but I wanted to give another resource, if I may. The Virginia Department for Aging another resource is the Virginia Department for Aging and Rehabilitative Services, and they have an excellent website on fraud and abuse for the elderly. And for years, the Virginia Attorney Generals have prosecuted a lot of cases of fraud and abuse. But their website has very valuable information on it. And again, it's the Department of Aging, and you can type in just elder abuse, or I'll be happy to send anyone the link.
Hey, thank you very much on that. There are a lot of different resources out there, and I'm glad that you mentioned that one, and I encourage everybody to take a look at that as well. But the point here is there are a lot of different websites. Take a look at it. Spend an hour a week taking a look at these different websites to learn and educate, because if you educate yourself, now you're hardening the target.
Question over.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything on your website that gives guidance to doing your vulnerability assessment?
No, not as of yet. We don't. What I'll say to that is this: take a couple who's age 65, live in the community, maybe play golf a couple of times a week, goes to a church in the same church. Assess them as low probability, then go up to maybe 10 years later, 75, and maybe one of the spouses has passed on, and now maybe the remaining spouse isn't as active and doesn't go to church, and also the kids don't live close by. Okay, it's a very rough assessment, but that's what we're looking at. And then I said age 75, then let's take a look at Helen Nutt. She was age 88. And the other thing that I'll say to this is this: I don't know how many other predator attacks Miss Nutt experienced before Jonathan Robbins decided to attack her at age 88, that may have been the first one. So and if that was the first one for her, she may have said, well, yeah, I hear about this all the time, but well, I'm 88 years old. No one's ever bothered me. It may be the first predator attack that you ever see that can take your entire life savings.
And one more.
Yes, please.
If I don't forget it. Let's see. I knew they were to do this. Oh, yeah. Okay. Is there a way to check the how safe a financial management organization is?
That's a great question, and I do not have an answer for that. I think that they're out there. What I would say is stay with the ones that have prominent names to them. We do. We're very fortunate to live in this great country, and there's great financial organizations, the major banks and whatnot. But what I want to warn people with, and that's why I showed the Doc Gallagher video, there's plenty of these individuals that will create these neat videos and then will come to churches like he did and then profess that he can help you gain 20% on your investments, and when the market goes down, he has stops in place to protect your investments.
If it's too good to be true, it usually is.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So stay on the roads that you know.
One place you can go if you're thinking about a financial manager is the Better Business Bureau of Richmond. They keep a list of practices like that, so they're readily available and in the phone directory, and they keep track of the scams as best they can.
That's true. That's true, and that's great advice.
Just a comment of two other scams. I ended up responsible for my aunt, who was actually one of the 5 founding members, or 6 founding members of the American Board of Child Psychiatry, and quite talented, but she suffered some physical disabilities from the time she was 4 and had housekeepers throughout her life to help her. And she ended up eventually hiring a housekeeper and needing more help, and the housekeeper brought in several people from her church. One of these was a woman who had, quote, repented from previous problems. And what this woman did was take mail that came into the house, which were credit card applications, and apply for the credit cards, change the address. And my aunt suffered another medical problem. I put her into a nursing facility. I drove up to my aunt's house. I lived in Delaware, my aunt lived in Ohio, one night, and this car pulls up behind me, and this woman gets out, and I realized who it was, but it was dark and shadowy, and said, I have 7 credit, she said, I have a credit card with your aunt, and I need you to verify that everything is okay. Well, I had put my aunt's money into a trust, and I called the trust office the next morning, and she looked around, called me back, and she said, this woman has 7 credit cards with your aunt, and it totals over $100,000. This woman had previously been sentenced to psychiatric facilities. She was sentenced, I called the police, she was sentenced again to 6 months in a psychiatric facility. And what did she do? She showed up as the private employee of one of the other people in the nursing home. The nursing home had no way of looking into how private employees were hired by families. And the caveats are hiring private employees and credit card applications need to be destroyed and mail monitored.
No, thank you very much for that insight. Yeah, that's right. Destroy these credit card applications. Right, again, goes back to hardening the target. But yeah, that's a great attack vector. And again, so this predator was very skilled, right? So yeah, thank you. And again, do not underestimate these predators. You've got to thoroughly check. If somebody's taking control of your loved one in this manner, you got to do the very, very thorough checks.
I just have another comment because we have a large audience here. And we just received our new directories here at Cedarfield, which means that residents will be destroying their old directory, and I would like to encourage everybody that they need to be shredded and not put in the garbage.
There will be a box in the resident business office where you can drop your old directories. That's a good idea to get rid of them because there's tons of information about everybody in this building on those directories. So don't just throw them in the trash like I started to do until Dolly advised me not to.
Yep.
Anybody else? I guess we're good, Ms. Charlotte. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. I have, it's 11 o'clock by my watch, but I have just a couple of things to say before you leave. This is one of the many programs VACCRA has presented over the past year. If you have a topic that you want presented, you need to let us know. Let Barbara, Martha Cole, Sally, or me know of your interest in a particular topic. And we can evaluate whether it's possible and whether it's of interest to everybody. Please let us hear from you. Let's see. We want to remind you of the November 18th meeting. That's for our membership. That'll be our brunch. And Barbara keeps telling me there are lots of surprises, so be sure to attend. That'll be at 10 o'clock here in the fellowship hall on the 18th. We have a state VACCRA Zoom meeting next Friday at 10 o'clock here in this room. It's the state meeting and you're all invited. It'll be a panel discussion from various CCRCs in the area, how they are working or have succeeded in getting a resident on their governing board. This is something you all need to hear. We all need to hear.
Charlotte?
Yes, what have I left out?
I'm shocked, Charlotte, that you don't have an application.
I do. That was my next comment, just for you, Mike. I have applications for membership with me.
The November 28th, the October 28th meeting starts at 11:10.
Right.
Because the book group meets at 10 o'clock.
That's right. The book review, the book club meets at 10 o'clock here next week. So we're giving them an hour and 10 minutes. Then we're taking over the room. Any other announcements? What else have I forgotten, Martha? Anything?
Well,
Membership.
just to encourage people, again, to come to that meeting because you will learn lots of ways people have gotten residents on their board of directors and are trying to get it. And it would behoove every member of VACCRA to know all the different ways to do this.
Okay. You didn't hear that, did you? Martha was encouraging everybody, all the members, to come to the Zoom state meeting here next Friday at 11:10 to hear how people succeeded in getting residents on their governing board and how they planned it and succeeded. And that's, of course, what we're interested in also, one of the major things we're interested in. So you need to hear your state board and all the things that they're doing, legislation and some other things that they're coping with right now. So please, Martha's encouraging you, we're all encouraging you, please attend. Anything else, Mike? You
I
want
think we're good.
you good? You don't have anything to say?
Well, I'm happy that we can work together, and I think it's a step in the right direction that the Residents Council and VACCRA can work together, and the more the merrier.
Right, right. So join VACCRA. Right? You're all members of Resident Council anyway. We want your membership. I just happen to have some applications in my bag there. So if anybody needs an application, I've got them. Thank you all very much for coming. If you want to speak to John, please come up and speak to him.